Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Aintrazi, and today we're going to go over the top 5 cards for each color in Duskmourn House of Horror, Magic the Gathering's newest set. Alright, so we're going to start off with the white. Just go on and get in here. Coming at number 5, Duskmourn brought us a bunch of new ley lines, and one that I'll give number 5 is Leyline of Hope. Leyline of Hope has a leyline text where if it's in your opening hand, you put on the battlefield for free. And it says if you gain life, you get you get that much life plus 1. And as long as you have 7 more life than your starting life total, you can control get +2/+2. So it's like a Righteous Valkyrie. It's an enchantment form. And it's just a static. And it gains you more life. I think this is a great addition to life gain decks. Obviously, the games where we have it opening hand is much different than when you don't. But I think when you do, it's going to be very, very powerful. I think this is the second best slay line if we exclude like the ones that we reprinted, like Leyline of the Void, which is obviously good. Things are the second best, newest one. All right, coming number 4 is Ghostly Dancers. It's hard for a 5-drop to be good, but I think Dancers has potential. It's a 5-mana 2/5 with flying. It says when it comes into play, you turn an enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand, or you can unlock a locked door of a room you control. Then it says it has Eerie. Eerie is a new ability. So whenever enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, make a 3/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So ideally you play this, you unlock one side of your rooms, unlock completely, so you get a 2/5 and a 3/1. And that in itself is pretty powerful. And the fact that you can just regrow your enchantments from graveyard is also powerful. I'm thinking something like maybe like Jeskai, because blue-red has some of the best rooms, I would say, in the set, and Ghostly Dancers fits very, very well in there. I would say there could be a good door Jeskai control deck in standard that wants dancers. All right, coming number 3, I'm a little surprised, is actually Split Skin Doll. The 2-mana 2/1 is an artifact creature, which is very important because Delirium is part of this set. So it being artifact creature is very good. And it says when this thing enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Then you discard a card unless you control a creature with power 2 or less. So it's a looter in white. But if you control another creature, it's just like Elvish Visionary, but more power, which is very good. And again, because of this artifact creature, I think it's very relevant for Delirium in those types of strategies. So this card I think is great for Reanimator, great just for like value engines. It's just a solid card from Duskmourn. Coming in at number 2 is Reluctant Role Model. So 2-mana 2/2 has survival. Survival is a new mechanic that says at the beginning of your second main phase, if the creature is tapped, basically it survived, you get to do something. For this card, you put a flying counter, a lifelink counter, or a +1/+1 counter on it. I think it's really good with Warden of the Inner Sky, like a Boros Convoke, or Knight Errant, Avios, or just any kind of Convoke. This seems very powerful in. Also says whenever role model dies, or whenever role model or another creature dies, if you had counters on it, you can move those counters to one creature. So not only does it grow itself, it also moves the counters around, which is very, 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 very relevant, especially for 2-drop. This card is pretty sweet. Coming at number 1 is going to be one of the new Overlords. These are kind of like Primeval Titans. So the white one is Overlord of the Mistmoors. It's a 7-mana for 6/6. It says whenever it enters or attacks, you make 2/1 white insects with flying. But what's really powerful about this is it's the impending cost, which means you can cheat it out for its impending cost. Which so for 4 mana, you get 2/1s. But then later as the game goes on, the impending goes down, and you get the 6/6. So like mid game, you'll get you get 2/1 flyers. Then late game, you can just hard cast it. But this is a very powerful Overlord. Just spitting out 2/1 flyers is great. Grave Titan was solid, right? This costs 1 more than the Grave Titan, but what it makes is flyers, and that is powerful. And the fact that it has impending, so you can do early, makes it even better. So this is my best card for white. All right, moving on to blue. Number 5 is, I think it's probably going to want to sleep with the sets. I'm going to say Paranormal Analyst. I think Delirium and Manifest Dread is going to be a huge mechanic for like Simic decks and even Golgari decks. But Analyst is great because it says whenever you Manifest Dread, so basically you look at 2 cards, put one face down, usually you put the other one in the graveyard. But Analyst allows you to put the other card in your hand. So now it's like generating value. You're making 2/2s and drawing cards. I think if Manifest Dread becomes a thing, this is definitely going to be powerful in that deck. So I think I think they put enough Delirium cards and stuff for green X to be a graveyard archetype, and I think this is a good one for obviously for the Simic ones. Coming in next is Fear of Imposters. Maybe a little surprised, but this is a 3-mana 3/2 with flash. It says when Fear of Imposters enters the battlefield, counter a spell. Its controller manifests dread. 3 mana for a creature with a counterspell is pretty powerful. Like we've had Mystic Snake, we've had Frilled Mystic. Obviously those were like, you just counter something and that's it. They also cost 4 mana, and their mana was like a bit harder to do, right? This one is mono blue. It's also an enchantment, which means it's very good for Delirium stuff. And yeah, just being able to counter a spell is on 3/2 body is powerful. I just really like this card, and I think it has huge potential. Another card I think is being looked over in this set. Coming in number 3 is our first just mono blue, I believe, Enchantress. This one has flash, so it's 2 mana 2/3, and the flash part is obviously very good. Being able to just like flash allows you to kill creatures that have like 2 or less power. If you need to, you can flash it in, block, untap, and then start drawing cards for enchantments. But what's also really cool is you can just like hold up counter spells or whatever, and then your opponent taps out. You can play this EOT. And even like what's cool is this card doesn't say when you cast enchantment. It says whenever enchantment control enters the battlefield. So even playing something like Volvagos Lair, the enchantment land, will draw your card. I think this card is powerful, and I think it's going to lead to some enchantment shenanigans. Coming number 2 is Abhorrent Oculus. 3 mana 5/5, flying. It says at the beginning of each of its upkeep, you manifest dread. It does have the clause, so it says as additional clause to cast this, you have to exile six cards from your graveyard. But there are cards in standard that in white, like Helping Hand, that will reanimate cards that cost 3 or less from graveyard to the battlefield. So if you're able to discard this early with some like Chart of Course or the Doll, and then reanimate it with a Helping Hand, like on whatever turn, it's pretty powerful. Especially turn 3. You reanimate this on turn 3 with Helping Hand or Recommission or something, and you pass a turn, and all of a sudden you have you have 7 power and 7 toughness for 1 or 2 mana. And late game you can cast it as well, just by just exiling cards. But this card seems super sweet and powerful. Coming number 1 is Silent Hall Creeper. So 2 mana 1/1. This thing can be blocked. And it says whenever it does combat damage to a player, choose one that hasn't been chosen. The fact that if it was just a 1/1 that just drew a card every turn when it hit the player, it'd be okay. But the fact that like when it hits, you can also give it 2 counters. So now it's a 3/3 unblockable, and then next turn you can draw a card, or you can make it copy a creature that you control. There's all very, very powerful things. But imagine like you play this turn 2, then end of your opponent's turn you cast Entity Tracker, right? All of a sudden now you attack with this, it becomes Entity Tracker forever. And then you can also now, like your enchantments, draw 2 cards. Also, it's enchantment itself, which makes it work very well with Entity Tracker if you draw the other way, because it draws cards because it's enchantment. But yeah, cards that like have 2 types are going to be very important. Again, I believe because of Delirium and just because of it's just going to matter for like enchantments and artifacts and creatures, and even our lands are enchantments in this set. So it's definitely very, very relevant. All right, moving on to the black cards. Coming number 5, we have Enduring Tenacity. This is a 4 mana 4/3 says that whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So it's kind of like a Sanguine Bond in a way. As a creature, then when it dies, it comes back as just an enchantment. I like this card because black decks have a lot of ways to like gain life and drain. This is a good way to do it. And if it dies, it just comes back and then sticks around, which is becomes even more sticky. This is a very good tenacity and glimmer. I like this one. All right, coming number 4 is Nowhere to Run. So 2 mana for enchantment with flash. So basically cast instant speed. And it says whenever this ETBs, it gives a creature -3/-3 to end of turn. Also though, it says creature your opponent's control can be targeted with spells and abilities as though they didn't have hexproof. Ward of the abilities also do not trigger. We've seen cards like this that like Trial of Ambition. Basically, when it comes in play, it makes the opponent sacrifice a creature, and then you can sacrifice this card to like an enigmatic incarnation to get value. The fact this is enchantment, it's a removal spell, and later you can blink it or sacrifice it is powerful. And then on top of that, it's going to make ward irrelevant, as well as hexproof is just a bonus. So if you have ways to like, or even playing like blue-black, enchantments with entity tracker, if you have ways to abuse the fact this is enchantment, it's going to be nice, right? Maybe you're playing black green delirium, and you want a removal spell that's also an enchantment. So you mill it, you have delirium faster. This is a great way to enable that as well. Coming number 3 is one of our best enchantment creature removal spells. We had to feed the swarm, but now we have Withering Torment. So for 3 mana, you can destroy a creature or an enchantment, and you lose 2 life. This card is powerful. Feed the Swarm is a staple in like commander decks, but this is also just a overall good card. Especially even in standard, being able to kill like caretaker decks is powerful. Destroying caretaker's talent and just giving black access to this for a reasonable cost just makes black unable to deal with artifacts and be able to deal with everything else. So card is good. All right, coming in number 2 is gonna be Valgavoth, Terror Eater. Valgavoth is the new big bad from Duskmourn. He is what's residing in the house. He's the one that's like done all this stuff. He's a 9 mana, so he's a lot of mana. But most times I feel like we're gonna be cheating Valgavoth out. He's an Elder Demon for his, again, 9 mana for 9/9, flying lifelink. And his ward cost is pretty brutal. It's sacrifice 3 non permanents. So it's gonna be hard to kill. It's gonna be hard to kill Valgavoth without like obviously using a removal spell and losing 3 cards. So it's pretty brutal. It says if a card you didn't control would be put in an opponent's grave from anywhere, exile it. So if you mill them, or if they like are doing delirium stuff, it's going to exile. So during your turn, you can play cards exile with Valgavoth. If you cast spell this way, pay life instead of mana. And thankfully, this thing gives you 9 life. It's lifelink. And in standard, we have some of the baddest and biggest creatures to reanimate, honestly, ever. Right? We have Aintrazi, which is like the go-to reanimation target in a lot of formats. I don't think it's better than Aintrazi, but I think it's good alongside her, right? Like you can only have 2 Aintrazi out because legendary stuff. Having Valgavoth and or Aintrazi is just a nice way to combat the opponents. And Valgavoth is a lot harder to deal with. Like Aintrazi, obviously she will gain you a bunch of life or draw a bunch of cards, but sometimes there are times where you're like, that's not quite enough because they can kill her and then attack you. With Valgavoth, it's much harder to do. So I do think this card will be a good reimage target. That being said, it's not better than Aintrazi, but it's still pretty good second place, especially for standard. All right, coming number 1, I'm going to give it to Overlord of the Baelmerk. So Overlord of the Baelmerk does have impending 5, so its impending is 1 more turn. However, you can cast it a turn earlier, and that is massive. And the fact, again, like I'm talking about Delirium and Dread, Manifesting Dread and stuff, this card mills you. So the value you get from it is like at least 1 card usually. And if you mill a flashback card or you mill whatever else that gives you Delirium, it's just gonna be nice. And also it's also within College of Render Inert. So being able to cast this, remove counters from on turn 3, and attack right away, and draw a card, and mill and draw a card, is just very good tempo and value, right? Renderer is a card that costs 3 mana, allows you to move counters from permanent, and removing the counters here and letting you attack is super sweet and just very very powerful, very powerful. Next up, we're gonna go over the red cards. Coming in number 5 for red, starting out, is a card that I'm surprised costs this cheap, but it's Fear of Missing Out. So it's an enchantment creature, again, great for delirium stuff. It's a nightmare, 2 mana, 2/3. And it says when it comes into play, you discard a card and draw a card. And it has delirium, so you once you have delirium. And thankfully, like if you discard other ones, basically if you discard Fear of Missing Out to itself, it gives you 2 types right away. And the delirium seems kind of nuts to me for 2 mana. It says whenever Fear of Missing Out attacks for the first time each turn, if there are 4 more card types, basically if you have delirium, after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Yeah. So like you get to attack, untap a creature, then attack again. And all our creatures are able to attack again. So you have something like vigilance. You can attack again as well. And I don't know, that just seems kind of wild to me for a 2 mana, you know, and it loots. So super sweet card. Kind of excited to see how it plays out, but also a bit nervous. I'll probably die this card a lot. I feel like red got a lot of good stuff in the set as well. The fact that Fear of Missing Out is 5th is saying something. Next one is gonna be Scorching Dragonfire. Again, delirium is the thing in the set. There's also Mosswood Dread Knight. There's things that recur themselves, and Dragonfire is an excellent way just to exile them. Like kill them dead, don't come back. Kill zombies, kill Dread Knights, kill anything or kill things that like will give your opponent delirium and just exile them. This is going to be a staple if graveyard matters. I feel like Duskmourn is going to make graveyard matter. Next up is a new wild card called Screaming Nemesis. 3 mana, 3/3 haste. That's okay. It's not the greatest, but like that's a good stat line. But its next ability is kind of insane. It says whenever this card is dealt damage, it does damage any other target. So you can like kill a creature if you want to. However, if you burn the opponent, if this deals 3 damage to the opponent, they can no longer gain life for the rest of the game. That is wild to me. So it's like essentially unblockable because like, especially if your opponent has ways to gain life, and this makes you able to like essentially like attack through Traxa. Like if you're mono red and Traxa loses lifelink, you don't care. You can just bash through her, right? You put basically plays 7 mana for 7 flyer. This is going to allow you to crash through. So this card is super sweet, kind of wild. Speaking of creatures that are powerful, we have one of the most powerful anti-creature cards in a while called Pyroclasm. This is a reprint. It hasn't been legal standard for a minute. Pyroclasm deals 2 damage to each creature. So we've had Lockdown, but now we have Pyroclasm, which is a 2 mana wrath against the small creature decks. This is great because we will need this, especially in best of 1. If you play best of 1, you are going to need Pyroclasm because this next card, I believe, is format warping and is going to just make best of 1 kind of miserable, even best of 3 potentially. But Leyline of Resonance is the best leyline because it allows you to win in fewer turns, like 2 fewer turns and with less cards. Anyways, this card has leyline effect, of course. So if you have it opening hand, it starts in play. It says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single creature you control, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. As you know, there are a bunch of creatures that cost 1 or 2 mana, or Slick Shot or whatever, or the mouse. And then there's a bunch of 1 mana pump spells. They're going to pump it up. You're going to copy it. You're going to monstrous rage. Give something +2/+2 and trample, or manifest dread, or whatever, and it's going to kill the opponent. On top of that, there's the 1 mana fling as too. So And what's crazy about this card too is like the stuff stacks, right? And so if you have 2 out, it's not like, okay, well, you have 2 Leyline of the Voids. It's not that good. Okay, you have 2, the green ley line or the blue ley line. It doesn't matter because one is usually enough for what you're trying to do. But this, and they don't stack. The red one stacks. It also works really well with like cards that cantrip. So something like Might of the Meek that is able to pump your card for cheap. Inventory card is just going to be also nuts. So I think we're going to get tired of this very quickly. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. This card is kind of wild. All right. Next up, my favorite color. As some of y'all may know, it's going to be green. Coming number 5 is the new Delirium card. That's, again, Delirium Matters this is like a, it's uncounterable bolstered worm. If y'all remember Throwing the Last Troll, it's kind of like that, except as haste and trample, and you can cast it for Delirium from your graveyard for 4 mana. If Control didn't have it rough enough as is with Cavernous Souls, now they have to deal with this worm. So if Control becomes a thing, this card is just kind of backbreaking, honestly. Coming number 4 is going to be Say Its Name. The Say Its Name is a sorcery that says mill 3 cards, then you may return a creature land card from graveyard to your hand. This is okay. Usually the rate for this is like mill 4 cards, but this one's 3. But I think it's worth it because the other text says exile this card and 2 other cards named Say Its Name from your graveyard, and you search your hand and or library or wherever for a card named Altenak, the thrice called, put on the battlefield for free. So basically, if you turn to Delirium, it's going to enable you, and it's going to summon this creature that's a, so Altenak, the thrice called, is a 7 mana 9/9 trample, and says whenever this thing becomes target of stolen ability opponent controls, essentially they try to kill it, you will draw a card, which is not bad. Just all you have to do is play one of these. But what's cool too is like if it's in your hand, it's not stuck, because if you're playing this card, you're also playing Delirium. So if it's stuck in your hand, you can just discard it to ramp. So the other ability is discard Altenak, if it's called, return a land card from graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So that's pretty sweet. I like it. Next up is Enduring Vitality. You might be surprised at why this is here, because it doesn't really stack with other vitalities. So 3 mana, 3/3 vigilance. It says creature you control have tap at 1 mana of any color. Has the glimmer effect and the enduring effect. When it dies, it comes back as an enchantment. So basically, Crippleth Right on a creature. This card, I'm purely putting it in here for Storm Splitter. Storm Splitter is the otter. That's a 1/4, and it says whenever you cast a spell, you make a copy of it. And the fact that those things have haste, and this thing gives them mana, allows you to like just tap them all for more mana, draw cards, make more of them, and keep going off. Essentially, it's a combo enabler for Storm Splitter. And while I don't know if that's gonna be like a tier 1 deck, I know it's powerful. I saw it under the access. I saw it has potential. So we will see how good that is. But this is a key card in it, and the fact that like you play this, your opponent kills it, you're like, sure, whatever, you killed it. Now it comes back. If they're not playing Scorching Dragonfire, it's not gonna matter because it's gonna give them all haste anyways. So, all right, coming number 2 is Kona Rescue Bestie. No, it's Beastie. I'm called Bestie. So it's like an Eldritch Piper effect for 4 mana. It's a 4/3, has survival. So in post combat main phase, if it's tapped, you can put a permanent card for your hand on the battlefield for free. This is kind of wild, especially with things that that like convoke, or better yet, probably in black green, it's going to be like like Saddle or to crew something, but like saddling a Caustic Bronco, or even there's a Tyvar as well on the set. You can tapping this to give Tyvar indestructible, then putting in like Valvagoth in your second main phase, or soon in the next set it's going to be Foundations. We got Omniscience, so being able to put Omniscience into play. This card is just pretty sick and pretty powerful, and can just is just threatened in the game. And the fact that you don't have to wait if you build your deck correctly. Like usually Elvish Piper, you have to like play it and then wait because it's summoning sick, or even like something like Thran Portal. Usually you have to pay, pass, and then wait because you need to need more mana. With this, no, you play it. Your opponent stepped out. If you have a saddle creature, you're just gonna demolish them. And it's just a sweet card. And even if you don't put like Velvet into play, just putting in a Shieldred or putting in like anything, honestly, is just value. Instead of you're just gonna get worse. I come in number 1, maybe a little biased, but I think Domain needs a little bit of help. And Overlord of the Hauntwoods is a great way for it to help them. So this is the Green Overlord, and it says whenever it comes into play or attacks, make a tapped colorless land token named everywhere. That is every basic land type. So this basically gonna give that land all types, turning on, Domain right away, like Leyline Binding or Shadow Prophecy or Drag the Bottom, whatever you want. All of them actually. But what I think pushes the card over the top is just the curve of like turn 2 up the beanstalk, you draw a card. Turn 3, if you impending this for 3 mana, you'll get the land and you'll draw a card. So like not only are you ramping, you're also drawing a card and getting full domain. Then turn 4, you'll have 5 mana. You can start doing just whatever you want, your domain stuff, I guess, But yeah, I think it's pretty good. It becomes much better with up the beanstalk though, and that's I think that's going to push it over the top. All right, last up, we're going to bunch in the artifacts and the land cards because there's not that many of them. Coming number 5 is going to be Dissection Tools. So this artifact equipment costs 5 mana. It says when this ETBs, manifest dread. So look 2 cards, 1 to play face down, comes 2/2, the one goes to the graveyard, and then attach tools to it. So the card becomes a 4/4 with Death Touch and Lifelink. It's kind of like Batter Skull, right? Vigilance with Death Touch, which is pretty good. And the way you equip it is you sacrifice a creature. So it's also a free sacrifice outlet that you can use over and over again, which is again also very good. Anything that lets you stack over and over again is good. This also in older formats has the potential to do well with Stoneforge Mystic. So cool card, and yeah, it's just a different Batter Skull. Coming number 5 is Ghost Vacuum, Ghostbusters. So for 1 mana, it's a artifact, and you tap it, exile target card from graveyard. I mean, again, this is just telling you that like graveyard is going to matter very soon with this set. So exile card from graveyard, and then later you can pay 6 mana, sacrifice the Ghost Vacuum, and basically put all the creatures back into play. So you put each creature exiled with Ghost Vacuum on the battlefield under control, with a flying counter on them. Each of them is a 1/1. Addition to types, activate only the sorcery. It's pretty good. Not only is it a graveyard like hater, also threatens in the game late, right? So it's like, in a way, it's kind of like a License Hearse for 1 mana that it only exiles 1 card at a time, but it only costs 1 mana, and also threatens to like in the game by a later ability. So pretty solid. Number 3 is a card that does way too much stuff, honestly. It's Marvin, Murderous Mimic. 2 mana for 2/2. It says Marvin has all activated abilities of all creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. This is a combo card. Like, it does so much stuff. I could literally make an hour video probably just trying to list also this card could do, or enables. Right, it's gonna be great with Agatha Soul Cauldron. Even like even like in modern, if you have like Marvin out and you Agatha Soul Cauldron, Grist, the Hunger Tide from your graveyard, put it on a creature. Marvin will get the abilities of the Planeswalker as well. It's just a wild card, I think, and it's gonna play very well with Soul Cauldron as well. So yeah, be on the lookout for this card. I don't know its full potential, but it has a lot of potential, and this card only gets better as time gets on. And it's colorless, so it's not required for you to play any instant color. So pretty sweet. Next up is going to be the Enchantment Land, Volvagoth Slayer. It's hexproof. It says when it enters, you choose a color, and you can Volvagoth Slayer adds 1 mana of the chosen color. So yes, this center is tapped, but again, this is a set that cares about card types, either to draw cards off like the blue Enchantress or just Delirium or whatever, right? And the fact this is Enchantment Land is very good for that. It's basically like a Fabled Passage. It gives you 1 color, but always comes to play tapped. So that is the drawback. It's always tapped, but it's going to fix your mana. And if enchant matters for you, this is a great way to make your enchantment decks better. Or maybe you should play a couple of these because you're playing Delirium, and this card will give you 2 types in graveyard, which is pretty solid, honestly. Coming number 1 is just going to be the new Verge lands. These lands are super sick. Like the fact that we have the Surveil lands that can play tapped. They give you 2 types of lands, and then these can play untapped, and they add 2 mana. Add 1 mana if you control the other type. They add other mana. I played a little bit with these cards, and they work so well. Like even Domain will play a couple of these, but decks that don't play Domain and that are in the allied colors, because these are printed like in blue, black, red, green, white, blue, basically all the allied colors, right? I think we're going to get the next cycle, the enemy colors next set. Don't quote me, but I believe that's what's happening. But these cards are really good, and they're staple, absolutely staple in standard. I'm not sure how good they'll be elsewhere. I'm a commander, obviously solid, but definitely for standard. They're super solid lands, and then they're gonna be great. So yeah, that is it for me. That's it. All the cards here. Duskmourn seems like much more powerful than Bloomburrow. I'm excited to see what it does. I think it's gonna do a good amount for standard. And yeah, make sure to use code Ollie5 to save 5% off your entire order if you're buying any of these cards. And come watch live sometime over twitch.tv/Aintrazi. If you want to see some cool brews, I have some up already over youtube.com/Aintrazi, or you can watch me live over twitch.tv/Aintrazi. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Have fun. Peace.